Hey guys, I'm Walls P, and welcome to Matter of Opinion. Now, this is a debunked video on a video that the conservative twins had made on Trump protesters, domestic terrorists. Now, if you want to see that video, click the link in the description. So, let's get down to business. First, I want to start with the actual definition of domestic terrorists. The term domestic terrorist means activities that involve acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of the criminal law of the United States or of any state, appear to be intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population, to influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion, or to affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping, and occur primarily within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States. So now that we got that out the way, one of the major talking points on their video is they don't consider the people that stormed Capitol Hill as terrorists or domestic terrorists. They consider them people who vandalize and stuff like that. And why do they say this? Because no one was killed or anything like that. They felt like there was no danger. But here's the thing. If a person comes in from another country and breaks into a federal building and he's apprehended, that man or individual is considered a terrorist. Now, just because they stopped him from doing whatever actions there was, he's still considered a terrorist. And they basically affected the conduct of government with mass destruction by breaking in, going inside, breaking things and all that. That's act of terrorism, whether it's foreign or domestic. So yes, in my book, they're labeled domestic terrorists. And then the next talking point on the video that I had an issue with was they said that these people acted this way because they felt like the election was stolen from them. That's fine and dandy, but at the end of the day, that still doesn't give you a right. It sounds more like an excuse of justification, so to speak, for their actions. I don't see these type of same justifications for a Black Lives Matter movement where people are being killed, unarmed blacks are being killed. This is just feeling like your voice wasn't heard based on your votes. Look, blacks and minorities, we felt like our votes wasn't heard or counted for the longest, but it didn't give us a right to, go storm a federal building. Matter of fact, during the Al Gore and George Bush presidency election, we all know that Al Gore was robbed. We didn't see nobody breaking into a federal building. See, it seems like it's gotten to a point where if they don't get their way, then they have to take it. You can't compare that to Black Lives Matter movement. That's two different types of fights that's going on. One is fighting for laws that wasn't put in place to benefit a group of people. And result of that, those group of people can be killed, ostracized, or whatever the case may be, with very little consequences. On the other hand, we're having a fight for what you feel that your voice isn't heard, but it's the circumstances of majority rules. Two different levels of arguments here. From the sound of it, you're condoning the actions of taking something because it didn't go your way. I mean, let's look at the history here. The Indians had their land, it was taken from them. Blacks was taken into slavery. So the one time that you don't get your way, you want to go break into a federal building or something like that, vandalize or storm a federal building. It was a lot of references and stuff made about Black Lives Matter, how they're terrorists and stuff like that. Black Lives Matter aren't going to storm a federal building. They did no such act of storming a federal building or anything of that nature. Then they made another reference about Black Lives Matter being Antifa. That just made me laugh. How are you gonna label Black Lives Matter Antifa? If that was the case, you saw that they was trying to say that the people that stormed the Capitol Hill, that it was Antifa who was storming inside of the building and going inside of Capitol Hill. By that logic, the people who would have been storming inside of Capitol Hill during that protest or whatever you want to call it, would have been blacks. A lot of blacks in the front lines climbing into these windows, breaking in. That's not what we saw here. And on top of that, when they mentioned Antifa with the Black Lives Matter movement, once there was awareness brought to it, what happened every time that there was a Black Lives Matter movement? You saw people guarding stores, guarding windows, guarding properties, so that if there was any act of Antifa trying to do any type of vandalism, the area was protected. So now we fast forward to now. If you was peacefully protesting, like you say, and you saw Antifa, quote unquote Antifa, trying to break the window to go inside of the building, the federal building and everything like that, you would have stopped them. So Antifa or not, you was perfectly okay with it. So now that makes you an enabler. It's kind of like if me and my buddies get in my car, right? And I have a gun in the glove compartment. We get pulled over. The cops pull us over. They search the vehicle, find a gun in there. Unless I say that gun is mine, guess what? We're all getting gun charges. By that logic, if you see Antifa, quote unquote, breaking into the building and you follow them in there, you enable them. Just my 2 cents. And then they made a reference that Trump called the Black Lives Matter movement what they are, which I believe he said they were thugs and everything like that. But they're saying that the people that broke into a federal building while protesting are a couple of bad apples. That just blew my mind away. And they also made references that people on Black Lives Matter are murdering and things of that nature. No, let's get something straight. The people who are being murdered were the protesters. We do know that a cop was killed in the process of the protesting. They also made a reference that there was a woman that, you know, was an innocent bystander, well, not innocent bystander, but a woman who was just standing there with no weapons or anything like that, and she was killed. Why is there no sympathy for her? Well, I remember they made a video about Jacob Blake, and when they saw the video, the footage, they said they kind of felt bad. But then when they looked deeper into it, how the police was telling him to, you know, put his hands up or whatever. He went to his vehicle with the kids in there and they got shot, whatever. That he was just a damn fool. All he had to do was comply. Why would you go partake in breaking into a federal building? If you didn't partake in breaking into a federal building, you wouldn't have lost your life. So basically, in a nutshell, you was committing a crime, and while committing a crime, you lost your life. So how is there supposed to be sympathy for that? You want to show sympathy for that, but a same exact scenario, you don't want to show no sympathy for it. And that's the type of double standards I had to speak on. I mean, do you guys not see the hypocrisy here? Two exact similar situations. One is black, you're ostracizing it. The other one is a white person, you're asking for sympathy. You don't see the hypocrisy.
I don't think Jacob gave a damn about his kids being in the back of the car. Because if I was in that position and I'm with my kids and they're in the back of the car and the cops point a gun at me and tell me and start giving me demands, last thing I'm going to do as a father is jump in the car with my kids.
But you know why Jacob jumped in the car with his kids? Because Jacob didn't give a shit about his kids. He didn't care what his kids saw. He didn't give a shit if his kids was going to get shot because he's being stupid.
The cause and effect of, you know, the woman, I understand, yes, the woman was unarmed and everything like that, but if you break into a federal building, then they said that Black Lives Matter are terrorists because they was taking down Confederate monuments. Let me ask you guys something. Anywhere in the world, are you allowed to have any type of Nazi swastika or anything like that? Why not? Because it's very offensive to a group of people. So now we're looking at these Confederate monuments that symbolizes a time of slavery and a group of people being oppressed, and they're taking these things down. You're basically condemning them for taking it down. I just can't make this stuff up. And the thing that kills me is we live in America, the greatest country in the world. To my knowledge, we should be representing, you know, winning, success. The South lost the war. So not to be, you know, disrespectful, but why do we have monuments of losers? I thought we're supposed to uplift winners. If you lose, you're supposed to be, that's it, you lost. Nobody remember the runner-up of the NBA championship or the NFL Super Bowl. No, you lost, that's it. The winners are supposed to get the statues and monuments and stuff like that. But that's just me. But again, like I said, nowhere can you allow a Roman swastika anywhere, but yet you're getting mad at Black Lives Matter people. And it's not only even Black Lives Matter, it's whites, people of many different races that are tearing down these Confederate monuments. Think about that one. They spoke about shots being fired, whatever. When the shots was fired, people was ducking because they didn't expect, you know, any shots being fired or nothing like that. You're breaking into a federal building. Why would you not expect to be shot at? Like, I mean, come on. If I go break into a police station right now, I'm not expecting to get shot. Like, come on, that's common sense. And on top of that, the Senate was holding a meeting to certify the votes. So why would you not expect to get shot? I mean, common sense. Then they made another statement about, you know, how the media wanted this to happen and how cops was waving the people in, letting them into the building. By your logic, that means Trump also wanted them into the building because Trump had the power to make sure that the National Guard and everything was presented once they knew that people were going to protest at Capitol Hill. Because when Black Lives Matter was going to protest at Capitol Hill, the picture was armed guards, heavily equipped, protecting the building. So Trump had the National Guard at his disposal to make sure everything was gonna be A-okay. But we all know that Trump wanted the people to go there and protest to stop the Senate from counting the votes, whatever, so that Biden is officially gonna be the next president. So you can't say that the cops wanted this because they was waving him in, but we know for a fact Trump had ultimate power to do so. And even while this was going on, Trump was still hesitant to call on to the National Guard. So that's where Mike Pence basically took the authority and looked for, you know, military aid, basically. So that tells you that like they were saying, you can't blame Trump, but if the man has the power to get the assistance there at a drop of a dime, why didn't you? Pence took the initiative to do so, even though he had to go through different proper channels to do so, but Trump could have did it 10 times faster. So what does that tell you? Something to think about. And the last point that I want to talk about in that video was they said Trump is a president for the people and that he wanted to get everybody to $2,000. My rebuttal to that is, if he really wanted to get the people to $2,000, while the Senate and the House was in negotiations coming up with a stimulus package, you could have made it your objective to say, hey, during these negotiations, I want the $2,000. You wait till after they come to an agreement to then say, I want $2,000. And people are gonna say, well, you know, he didn't know what was going on. No. We know for a fact Captain Twitter Fingers knows what's going on, because the whole time that, you know, they were negotiating the stimulus package, he was giving updates on Twitter. Money is coming. We're gonna help the American people or whatever. So if you really wanted that $2,000, you could have made sure and put your foot down and said, I'm not signing any stimulus package unless there's $2,000 in it, while they were coming to an agreement. Of course, after they come to an agreement and you drop the bombshell, it's gonna be a problem. And that, my friends, is what I honestly think cost the Senate the 2 seats that now the Democrats have, which give the Democrats the majority in the Senate. So, like I said, love these guys' channel. It's very entertaining and everything like that, but I just felt that there was a lot of misinformation that was given. And people who subscribe to my channel, they know I'm very much of a stickler when it comes to misinformation, especially misinformation when it comes to the Black Lives Matter and things that's gonna basically uplift blacks, whether it uplifts them or make them look in a bad light. I am not a person that indulge in trying to give misinformation, because misinformation is what got what we saw on Capitol Hill started. We as people need to stop this misinformation just to try and fit our narrative, or just to get subs, or just to get likes, or just to get money, or whatever the case may be. Tell the truth. Tell it like it is. Or say, this is my opinion on the matter, but don't speak like it's straight up facts, and it's definitely not facts. That's what I have an issue with. And on that note, catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Time for me to hold it down, time for me to break it down. Y'all cats don't wanna see me, y'all better mind your P's and Q's.